alcoholic. Yeah, my story. I guess I'll start with how it was before. My life was pretty crazy, insane. I don't really remember like my first drink like a lot of people, but it was probably when I was like 14 or 15. Both my parents drank alcohol, and alcohol was always around and kind of just normal in my house. So I always knew and always wanted to drink like when I got older, and definitely started drinking before I was of the legal age. Um, when I turned 16, I got a job, my first job at a restaurant, and it was like the local pizza place. And that kind of, I was like allowed to drink at work. They had like beers on tap, and I would drink there. And then I dated someone who was a little bit older than me, and I would get him to buy alcohol for me, even though like he didn't drink, which I didn't understand. Um, so yeah, he would get me those like little things of Jägermeister, which is disgusting, but that was my drink of choice at the time. And the draft Bud Lights at work, and I would just drink them out of a paper cup so nobody knew. And I would even like come up to work sometimes just to like hang out, and they would like let me drink up there like at the bar as long as I had it in like a paper cup, which is crazy and legal. Um, Also, when I was 16, I remember I snuck, uh, it was like at some festival, and I stole beer from like one of the tents or whatever, and the cops came, but they didn't arrest us. They just like called our parents to come pick us up. So that was kind of just like my first run in with the law. And when I continued to work at this restaurant. I mean, I worked there until I moved out here, so I worked there for like 7 years. Um, we would trade pizzas with the liquor store for like those little double shots of Jack Daniels, and I would like pour those in my Coke and like drink that. I would drink it in the car on the way home. Then eventually I started working at another, like it was like a family owned restaurant, but there was a couple of different locations. I started working at another one that was conveniently right across the street from a bar. And we would go there after work, and people would take like, it was always like a beer and a shot. And they would always do like shots of Fireball, but I hated Fireball. So I would do Rumplemans with like a peppermint schnapps, and I also noticed that it had like a way higher alcohol content than the Fireball, which I'm like, that's not really a normal thing that people base their drinking off of. Is I want to drink something that has the highest alcohol content. Um, but yeah, I would drink before work. I would do doubles, and everybody would go to the bar and then go back to work. And of course, like in the process of all this drinking, like there were drugs involved, and definitely like a lot of marijuana. Um, so I just kind of continued on this path. And then when I was 23, I got my first DUI. I was drinking at, I think, like the mall, and had like a couple of drinks before, and then a couple of like margaritas, and with a friend. And I was like in a blackout and ended up driving home. And I made it all the way home, but somebody followed me because I guess I had like sideswiped someone's car. Um, and the cops arrested me in my driveway. And I had to go to jail, and then I got out and had to do community service and pick up trash on the side of the road. And we cleaned a church, and I had to go to like some alcohol safety schools and, do like an assessment. And they were like, you're definitely an alcoholic. And I went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and the God thing really freaked me out. And it was like a newcomer meeting, and I was the only newcomer there. And like everybody was talking just to me the whole time, and it was like really intense. And so it kind of scared me, and I didn't go back after that. I had to go back to jail again after I got convicted for a weekend. And then after all that, I think I probably stopped drinking for a little while. I don't really remember how long. My memory's not very good. But I definitely remember having the thought that I was too young to have a drinking problem. Everyone around me was still drinking. Everyone was like, "You got a DUI? That's no big deal." People were normalizing it because I was like surrounded by alcoholics. Um, and yeah, so I just went back out drinking again until I moved up to Washington. I used to live in Memphis, Tennessee, and kind of moved up here to get out of my rut of working in the same place for so long. And I still continued to drink and would drink and drive all the time. Not remember how I got home, or I would come out in the morning and my car's tire would be like destroyed. And I'd have to get my car towed, and scary. Like, I was in a blackout, so I don't know. What if I like hit someone and ran away? I mean, hopefully I would remember that if that happened, but yeah, so I just kind of kept on that path. I was still drinking, partying, doing drugs, going out all the time. I worked at another restaurant where like cocaine was pretty big, so I was combining those two things a lot and hitting my head a lot. Like, I would get fall down and have like huge scrapes on my forehead, and then I'd have to like cover it up because it was super embarrassing because people are like, "How did that happen?" And I'm like, "I don't really know." So that was kind of like normal for me. And a couple of times, like, I went on a trip to New Orleans, and it's a huge drinking town. Like, I got in a fight with the person I was with, and so I was just like walking the streets of New Orleans by myself late at night, like completely drunk, and somehow lost my purse, which had my ID and everything in it. So I couldn't fly home until like my mom sent me a copy of my birth certificate, and just stuff like that was just happening all the time, until it kind of started to get worse, where I was drinking, like before work all the time, and no one ever noticed or said anything. I never got fired. So I was like, I'm functioning. That was kind of another one of my arguments for it being okay. And so, yeah, I would drink all the time before work. And then after work, didn't really drink during work at this time, except for when I worked at a spa for a little while. They like served beer, and I would like finish people's beers after they went into their service and stuff, which is really gross, but it was like before COVID and everything. But yeah, that was crazy. There was like a bottle of alcohol, of vodka, that was in the freezer, and it had been in there for like years and years and years. And I ended up drinking that one day after work, and my coworker was like, "I wonder where that bottle of vodka went." And I was like, "Yeah, it's so weird." But I was the one who took out the recycling, so no one knew. Then, I had a couple of times where I was still drinking and driving all the time. I would go to the grocery store and get like those little mini bottles of vodka, and I would go to like different stores so they didn't know that I was buying vodka every single day. I would drink those like little bottles in the parking lot on the way home, and sometimes I would like get some for my partner, and then I would just like drink all of them and not say anything about it, like he didn't know that I got some for him because I drank it all. I started buying like 2 like smaller bottles to kind of then I couldn't drink more, but it didn't work out. I blacked out one day and got into the car to go to a doctor's appointment, and I was really, really late for it. Then on my way home, I got into a car wreck that was the other person's fault, and cops came, and I got arrested again and went to jail for a little while. But this time I was like, I really don't like jail. It's not a fun place. It's really uncomfortable. The blankets are like made of steel wool, and it's cold, and the lights are on all the time. And I was like, I really don't want to go back to this. So I got into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous by the court order. And I'm still doing that today. I'm still in a little bit of a treatment program that I'm finishing up in September that I had to do for court. And it really saved my life. I haven't looked back since then, and I'm just so happy that I made that decision. I was suffering with like pretty bad depression, and now like I'm just feeling so much better overall. I'm just really, really enjoying my life. You know, I want to travel back to New Orleans and like do it sober and see what that's like. Just lots of things like that I did drunk that I can't wait to do now that I'm living this awesome new life in sobriety. And thanks to the program of AA and working the steps with my amazing sponsor, Amy, and, you know, getting into therapy and just really working on myself and not looking back to drinking or any drugs. You know, I gave up everything. And yeah, my life is just a lot better today. I'm so grateful for this program. And I think that's all I have, but I'm finishing a little bit early. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you guys so much.